Welcome back to Hood Shaka Live. I'm DJ Hood Shaka, the man with the intellectual master plan. You feel me? Go to djhoodshaka.com. I'm saying support your people. Get your scanning scanned on. Or you can go to hoodshaka.com and get the merchandise. You feel me? And I got a new merchandise coming soon too. I got a new line. Oh man, crazy right there. I got crazy flavor. You know what I mean? But anyway. So I'm getting ready to show you a video on the fighting between Israel and Palestine. Now, what's crazy is we have seen this same story over and over again, where you have an entity or a country that has all the weapons, all the food, has all this power, and then they fight against someone who does not have the power. But what do? They make it look like the people that don't have no power are just, they just these bad guys, these savages and these horrible humans. And then they feed, I live in America, so then they feed American people like myself. Oh, these people been fighting for a long time. They always fighting. This is just a religious fight. No, this is not a religious fight. This is a fight over control. This is about control. Israel wants to control everything and don't want these Palestinian people to control their own destiny. That's what the issue is. There's a whole lot of other issues, but the bigger issues are control of destiny. That's what it seems like to me. And I'm not getting fed information by the news of America. I'm looking at all the things from outside of America, and then I'm using my own brain. But listen, the same way what would eventually be called America, they use the same techniques to make conquest in America. They made it look like the natives of this land were just horrible savages. And then what did they do? They murdered them. They established their own way of life, their quote unquote American way of life. They created they enslaved people here that look like this. And then they built America. Yeah, the people that look like this built America. And then they murdered and killed through disease and genocide. They killed the natives of this land that they called Americas. This is what happened. This is documented. This is not an argument. So now I use my common sense and then I look at what they're doing and I can see the repeat of genocide and conquest. I see people who are throwing rocks. And then I see people who have tanks and missiles. You using tanks, missiles against people with a small amount of firearms and a couple of rockets, RPG type rockets, while your country has massive rockets. I'm telling you, something is majorly wrong with this picture. And then what's crazy is countries from all around the world are very angry and they're disturbed. Who they're disturbed with? They're disturbed with Israel. They're saying, hey, these people are crazy. They're saying Israel crazy. While Israel saying, oh, no, these little itty bitty Palestinians, they're the problem. They have bad sales in their area. Well, listen. If you killed fathers and mothers and you're trying to control everything that they're doing when you're not supposed to be controlling them, not supposed to be putting them in bondage, but you are engaging in genocide, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to just be okay with you being murderers? Something is majorly wrong. I've only done a small amount of research. And when I say small amount, I'm talking about, a couple of years. But it goes a lot deeper than a couple of years of research. I remember being in school and doing caseworks on these situations. Listen, there is no way in world I'm not going to believe that these officials are telling me that people who don't have the weapons that you have are just some major threat when you've been doing nothing but bombing them with all of your major weapons. If I don't have major weapons and you do have major weapons and you're constantly harming me, you should be afraid that I'm going to react because I'm supposed to react. That's logical. That's not illogical. That's common sense. If a man has his foot on your neck, it is your responsibility to remove that foot. So tired of seeing these videos where people are throwing rocks. I see Palestinian people throwing rocks at people that are shooting them with AR-15 weapons. I'm disturbed, man. But you know what? Most people, they don't care. You know why they don't care? Because the American media system tells them, oh, these people have been fighting since over 100 years. They get fed lies. And when I say they, I'm talking about people like me and you. We get fed lies. And these people, they always been fighting. But they don't give you the context. They don't give you the real story behind why people are fighting. If I live in my own home and someone comes into my home and tries to stop me from living in my home, I'm going to fight to the death. That's me. I'm not going to let you occupy my home because it's my home. I'm supposed to fight for my home because it belongs to me. It belongs to my people. I'm not supposed to just be like, you know what? Go ahead. Take my home. That makes no sense. So they should continue to fight. People who are invading their homes. And we're not going to believe you, Israel, when you say these people are militants and terrorists. No, you're the terrorist, and we can see it. The world is seeing it. The world can see that you are wrong. And the United States will not stand up to you. Why? Because they are a keeper of Israel. That's why. They are guardians of Israel. And it's biblically based. It's a biblical based connection to Israel. And that is why the United States consistently backs Israel. Now, we all know by doing just a small amount of research that the United Nations, when they divided that land up in the 1940s, I'm going to say specifically 1943, we saw who got the fertile part. We saw who got the infertile part of the land. They gave Palestine the infertile parts of the land. They gave them the worst. And now Israel's still trying to take what is theirs. But no one cares. Why? Because it doesn't affect you. It doesn't affect your way of life because you can't see your way of life right now. You don't understand what affects you. You think I am a little boy. This is what I want you to think about. I am a 7-year-old child, and I see the bombs that have been dropped from Israel on my people that killed my mom and my father. Now I am emotionally damaged. And then I can see the United States label on these bombs. But I can also see the Israel flag on these bombs, on these missiles, on these tanks. What, you don't think that as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old, you don't think I'm going to grow up and understand who my enemy is? That's what you thinking? So I don't want to hear about no Hamas. If the global world cared about what was going on, then they would intervene in global affairs. If the United Nations cared, then guess what? They would intervene what was going on. I don't want to hear about, oh, we negotiate. There's no negotiating. Everyone can see the actions of Netanyahu. All you got to do is do a small amount of research. Oh, they don't need to threaten us. They don't need to fire no weapons at us while we bombard their areas, killing areas of people, men, women, and children. Oh yeah, they say, Israel said, oh yeah, we looking for Hamas. Okay, but you just tore out the utility companies. You damaged the water supplies. Do you listen? You may not know this, but one of the first ways to destabilize any area that you want to destabilize, you stop the water. You stop the water supply. You stop the power. You stop the power supply. You destroy areas that produce sustenance. That's right. You destroy food areas. This is destabilization 101. So what don't you understand? I don't understand these backers of Israel. I don't get it. Everyone throughout this Middle Eastern area is saying that Israel is the problem. So everyone telling you that you the problem, but you still going to say that everybody else is the problem. You see how insane you sound? Of course you don't sound insane to you, but you sound insane to everyone else. I'm going to get into this clip, but man, this is horrible. The whole world need a whole cleansing. I'm telling you, if I could grab the whole earth and shake all the people off the earth and just start over, that's what needs to happen. Because this is ridiculous. No one cares about humanity anymore. Nobody want to look out. Nobody want to look out for nobody no more. It's just ridiculous, man. It makes me so angry. You don't even understand how angry this stuff makes me. It makes no sense, man. The only way the world is going to get better is if we start looking out for one another. I live in the United States, so I'm removed from Israel and the Palestine conflict, where Israel is killing men, women, and children that are Palestinian. Freedom to Palestine. Let's get into the video. Stay focused, stay safe. This is Hood Shaka Live. Support the hood.
US and Arab leaders are locked in tense ceasefire negotiations as the fighting between Israelis and Palestinians threatens to spread across the Middle East. While Israel and Hamas battled for a fifth straight night, fierce confrontations engulfed the West Bank, leaving at least 10 Palestinian protesters dead. It also triggered clashes on Israel's border with Lebanon. And 3 rockets were fired towards Israel from Syria, an ally of the Jewish state's arch-rival Iran.
In Gaza, a call to prayer is drowned out by the deafening roar of Israeli airstrikes. This one targeted a Hamas security compound. Another pummeled a bank affiliated with the Islamic militant group. Israel coordinates these strikes from above and on the ground where troops have amassed along the border. It says it only targets members of Hamas. But today, more civilians became victims. 32 children are among more than 130 people killed in Gaza since Monday. Another 10,000 have been displaced. Their reality gives new meaning to misery.
Hamas must understand that shooting rockets into Israel is unacceptable, and ultimately it hurts them more than it hurts us.
But it hasn't stopped.
Wow!
This rocket blowing up an oil tank in the southern Israeli city of Ashdod is just one of hundreds fired by Hamas militants from Gaza just in the last 24 hours. As with each day, the conflict intensifies and broadens to more fronts. Across Israel, Arab and Jewish neighbours are turning on each other. A mob firebombed this 12-year-old Arab boy's family home in the town of Jaffa. Jewish schools and religious sites have been desecrated, while long-held tensions have erupted into deadly confrontations right across the Israeli-occupied West Bank.
A lot of conversations we have may happen behind the scenes because that may be the most appropriate way to de-escalate the situation on the ground.
But the conflict is now spilling across the border into countries where anti-Israeli sentiment runs deep, making those attempts to defuse the worst fighting in years all the more difficult. Adam Gleeson for 10 News.